Give thanks. Took a second. Everything should be copa. Move right. Keep the mode right. Dura, 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 kapara. Ertana, haiku apinase. Nefe, nete, wene. Sinetir, ire, ujasane. Bravo Swap, Omi, Alaguana, Mama Kenya, Rawi. Bravo Swap, Omi, Alaguana, Mama Kenya, Rawi. O Bravo Swap, Ishua Ku, Otalo, Omi, Alaguana, Mama Kenya, Rawi. Ako, Eli Ako. Tukani Rikis, Nune, Siaka, Siana, Sibadu, Sikia. Luke 9, Ifa, Sulu, Luke 9, yeah, Shitushin, Sidinje, Aga, Sidinje, Ana, Sidinje, Badu, Kampa, Sidinje, Ki, Kampa, Patem Huru, San amon-ra. You need your rep, Aku, you need your rep, Netizu, Minak, Maat, Dua, Dua Netizu, Ashe, Ashe. Or mean, turn thy face towards the dead body of thy child, and make thy child sound and strong in the underworld. O mean, O God, grant thou to thee that I may understand with thee. Grant thou to me that I may possess all my parts and twats. Hell, I mean, let me make supplications unto thee, for I know thy name, and thy transformations are in my mouth, and thy skin is before my eyes. Come thee, and place your hair, your image, myself, in the everlasting underworld, and not let me be enchanted therein, for I praise thy name. Duaku, Duality, Ashe, Ashe. Nupu, Usik, Niyet, Nupu, Hepket, Nupu, Ankabet, Nupu, Finte, Nupu, Naha, Nupu, Uruti, Nupu, Neba, Nupu, Set Kasu, Nupu, Afi Mket, Nupu, Nutu Neseret, Nupu, Perati, Nupu, Ha'afa'af, Nupu, Basti, Nupu, Taratiu, Nupu, Shitkaru, Nupu, Yunem Senef, Nupu, Yunem Basi, Nupu, Timiti, Nupu, Surti, Nupu, Nepmaat, Nupu, Tutu, Nupu, Ha'afa'af, Nupu, Yapu, Nupu, Hayu, Nupu, Uramati, Nupu, Na'atef, Nupu, Sarakawu, Nupu, Anhatepef, Nupu, Nepu, Nupu, Nekinu, Nupu, Sekeriu, Nupu, Nepabua, Nupu, Nefetim, Nupu, Timsapu, Nupu, Ahi, Nupu, Waset Mikiet, Nupu, Heka, Nupu, Nehab Neferet, Nupu, Chasitet, Nupu, Anaf, Nupu, Hekabu, Uaku, Ashe Kunku, Ashe, truth without falsehood, a certain and most truth. That which is above corresponds to that which is below, and that which is below corresponds to that which is above, for the purpose of miracles up to one thing. And as all things upon this one thing await meditation, then all things upon this one mind for transformation. His father is the sun, his mother is the moon. The wind carries it in its belly, the earth is its nurse. It is the origin of all, the consecration of the universe. Its innate powers are perfected when it turns to earth. Separate the root from the gross, the earth from the heavens. Gently and with great ingenuity, it rises from earth to heaven and then descends back, thereby combining both the above and below. Thus you obtain the glory of the universe, and all obscurities will be clear. This is the greatest force of all. This is how the universe was created. And from this will come many wondrous applications, because this is the pattern. Thereby I am called thrice greatest Hermes, because I possess all three parts of the wisdom of the universe. Hence, I have explained the operation of the sun. Duality, dualism, Ashe, Ashe. 7 generations on the mother's side. The 7 generations on the mother's side. I seek your assistance in these endeavors for peace, prosperity, protection, good health, and the greater good. Karas Navis, Sun, Miris, Nipsi, Hosu, Ashkedan, Shin, Duaku, Duality, Ashe, Ashe. For real, let's get it
Yeah, scientific breakthroughs, unveilings, spiritual revelations, the openings. Yeah, 212. First forward radio. Tuesday. Black Water Meta-Maji-Shen. Tuesday. North, east, west, south, west. Use the way. Tuesday. The mind, whatever going on mind, with intelligence, rewind the message. Merry Christmas, indigenous immigrants, state of the unison, address to nothing, foundations can ruin, level to level, fuck the level, tales from the crib, the blood ritual, this is called flying over California, my friends, what's the answers, lions and tigers, gotta get my reverence, but average, that is the wrong list, I'm a malnutrition, chemically imbalance, Ethiopian into the kush, blue rocket push, move with the bush,
And what was lost shall be found. We back at it. It's another Tips and Tricks Tuesday on this wonderful 23rd of April. You know what I'm saying? Give thanks. First World Order Radio. Peace, prosperity, protection, good health to all in all. Yeah, got lost out there for a second. They're trying to plug it down, but we you know what I'm saying, we plugged it in and plugged it up. So we're gonna get it in a few seconds. First, I want to give some salutations. Happy born day to the God, Dr. Alim, on the other day, the 19th. Give thanks to the whole family, to First World Order family, to all the Washington, the Monday Moors out there in general, the whole family. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, you know, under the green sun, everyone under the sun. But little technical difficulties on the jump, but we in here now. It's Blackwater, the Meta-Maji-Shen, Elohi, Katepu, El-Bey. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's fitting. The hook on this is I lost your baby. Because we was out there lost in transition for a few minutes, but we back in it to win it, you know. So yes, indeed, we are here. Today's topic will be the science of Baphomet. So we're gonna bring it in with that, you know what I'm saying? And as we dialogue and everything, just, you know, just stick with me for a minute. I ain't going too far all over the place like to talk about. Everything should be copa, you know. Got some notes, you know, all that good stuff, but basically we just gonna do it, you know, and just have a good time having fun tonight. Breaking down this Baphomet thing, the energy within it, you know, the mystery behind it, the misinterpretation or the misinformation behind it as well. So, all right, let's put our paws in this thing and start digging, right? All right. First and foremost, I always this is like my disclaimer right here. No. What's wrong with my phone? Okay. Hey. This is the disclaimer. False evidence appearing real. No fear. No, really my disclaimer is, well, basically, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a medical doctor. You know, I'm not a scientist or a neuroscientist or astrophysicist or nothing like that. But you know, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express, so I think just being in that building alone balanced it out. Nah, this is I always say that it's just bullshit. But anyway, we're going to start it out by just a little information on symbols and whatnot. So again, false evidence appearing real. There's a lot of symbols out there. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things that we look at to represent who or what we think we are, as well as what we think the matrix is in the physical sense outside of us. You know what I'm saying? So that being the symbol of Baphomet there, just to break down what symbol is, it's a hologram basically, you know, basically all things in the spectrum of light are holograms or holograms. Hollow, you know, you can change out the R and L is interchangeable, as you know, so change out that R to it. I mean the L to a R, hollow, and you have horo or huru, light. Then you have gur-am, so you have am meaning mind or brain matter basically, and gur meaning silent. So it's the light from the silent mind, hologram. So in our meditations, we bring about or bridge in that that energy from like what was that Thor, the bridge on Thor, Viscar, whatever, as they would bring it in. I can't recall what it was called, but the glimmering bridge. But that's equivalent to the dopamine pathway and the substantial nigra and all those phosphorus type of colors coming in from the brain, bringing in different elementals throughout and from the universal perspective and cosmic perspective. We're going to get into that a little bit in a second, but we're dealing with symbols, and in regard, is not the word or the law that would dictate the world, it is the symbol. That's a statement made by Confucius. The symbol relates to an archetypal construct that enlivens the dormant phase of our indwelling intelligence, or inside God speaks to our genetics as intelligence. So as the symbol is introduced to the conscious mind, it is registered as the particular definitive in place and time, and it is determined by a sensual and logical mind to be whatever the definition is. In our normal pattern of thought, we rarely recognize the abstract value of symbols from a subconscious, superconscious level. The actualization of the symbol is initiated from a non-material atmosphere when the forces of attention is accumulated to a high degree. The symbol reforms itself into the material side of life. This can be seen in physics as rest motion when light and sound, or when light is bent by the force of gravity and forms a physical object from the gateway of an unseen threshold. This view is a point, or it is based on the origin of light, and it can be looked upon like a point or a dot. So from a nominal reality into the realm of objects, or the phenomenal reality by way of light or information. There again, the hologram. This has also been termed as light code spectrums by the master teacher Dr. Valentine, whereas we have stepped down information from high waves of mental activity that preclude the local manifested thought. So the unseen intelligent reality is then basically brought down by way of that flow of energy on that belt. So as we interpret symbols, sometimes it can leave us in an altered state of being or altered state of mind. And this can be looked upon like brainwashing or brain staining. So again, as the symbol is introduced to the conscious mind, is registered as whatever it is. So in most cases, we look at the Baphomet as some type of demonic being or devil being because of how it's been portrayed in the past few hundred years by way of religious dialectics or dogmatic religion. And you know what I'm saying, against what is being stated inside of the symbol or the abstract function of what we're looking at. So black magic, white magic, or whatever, light, dark, it doesn't really have any play inside of how we gather the information and then emit it, or we take it in and then we put it right back out. That's what it's going to be. But as we look at this from the language of magic and whatnot, so magic, as defined, is a body of techniques that can consciously alter the perception of one's identity. So I believe that science and magic are complementary approaches to the world, somewhat like an off and on switch of a power unit. So you got the analytical world of what we call the scientist, then you have the experiential world of the mystic, and the analogical world of the magician. And they shouldn't have any type of conflict within those three realms. So to approach magic without logic and discipline, one will invite delusions and obsession. And to seek the mysteries without intuition, passion, and belief, it may bring about stagnation and also academia with just knowing something and being aware of it. So we must be able to both observe and participate with this magic, which is basically your melanin. Because this is a method of taking advantage of the relationship between the consciousness, knowing, you know what I'm saying, the information, which is being, and the energy, which is doing. So knowing is the interface between being and doing, and it affects all things in every realm. Knowing is half the battle. The application or the participation within the arena of life with the energy that we have learned or remembered, basically, that's the other half, 50-50. All right. So we're looking at this symbol right here. This is the Baphomet, or the Baphomet. You know what I'm saying? We're going to look at how and what this is pertaining to as far as the name, first and foremost. I mean, it's been titled different, has different appellations. It's been retitled, titled, but basically the original name, or as far as Eliphas Levi, who wrote the book a couple hundred years ago, that had this illustration in it, which is one of the most famous illustrations of what we call the Baphomet, the Templar Baphomet or whatnot. So in his book, Dogmas and Rituals of High Magic, he put this illustration in there, this picture, which he put together over time. It's a correlation of different symbols of different deities. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, the origin of it is the goat of Mendes, what they call the goat of Mendes, the black goat and whatnot. This black goat, okay, where's my mouse? Not a black mouse, but yeah, that mouse. The goat of Mendes is in retrospect, the goat of Mendes, he's talking about Mendes is a city, well, it was a known ancient Egyptian city called Djet, and the deity of the Djet was Per-Baneb Djet, which basically means Per means house or domain, and Ba means soul, Neb means a light, and Djet means is the backbone or the pillar of Osir. So the Djet has different meanings, but basically you could look at it like it is also, because they said because in the mystics or the mystery systems, they said that the Djet is basically Asura, and the goat of Mendes is basically a depiction of Asura. Okay, so the backbone, Baphomet of Mendes, the goat of Mendes. Again, Mendes is the Greek derivation of the city in Egypt or Kemet called Djet. And in that representation, or how they were calculating that, basically they were just talking about the Ram Lord of the Jet, the domain of the Ram Lord of the Jet, because the word Ba and soul, or basically they sound the same. Reason being is because the sound that the ram or the sheep makes is Ba. So the our ancient brothers and sisters took upon themselves to utilize that sound ba, you know what I'm saying, as the title of distinction for the soul. Not to say we sheeple or nothing like that. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. These are all hidden coded messages within a mystery system. Remember, religion is based on three aspects. You have your mythos or knowledge, the information, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, whatever. Then you have your rituals, which are based on dates concerning different points within the map of the calendar. And then you have the mystics or the metaphysical um, dialogue or the metaphysical interpretation, which connects those dates with the cosmos inside of what we're looking at. Like in the Bible, they talk about the um, the four beasts that sit around the Ancient of Days and everything, which in relation is talking about the four different changes within the seasons and all that, and how March and and then we go into summer solstice and the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice and all those different entities that are inside of that circle are related to those four interchanges. So that's cosmic interpretation from a mystic point of view, but we look at it literal due to the definitive of what the papal church or what someone has stated in repetition, to where we have a grasp on certain parts of the reality, but not the true um, hardcore underlying message that's within that reality. So we get caught up on what it seemed to be and not what it truly may be to our own self and our own perspective and experience. All right, so when you're looking at that thing, we gotta notice and remember that it is a symbol. It's just that. So again, symbols are placed right in front of us, our eyes, and we may not readily understand or overstand or understand what it really is telling us from a spiritual perspective. One thing I've been taught is to spiritualize everything. Don't just look at it in the physical sense, because then what happens is we get caught in a loop or a stupor, a rut of disbelief. And as it grows and grows and grows and grows, it can become very distasteful if we don't know, if we don't have the leisure or we don't have the key to the map. All right, so again, get back to the info. So this Greek name Mendes is then transformed from the jet, and the deity of the jet is Per Bandijet. And this is hold on. Mm, this is a depiction of Baneb the jet, or Per Baneb the jet is the name of the city. Again, Per means the domain. The deity's name is Baneb the jet. Is equivalent to Khnum from the south. So you have the ram's head, which some people mistaken for a goat's head, but it's really a ram's head there. As you can see, it's not a goat, but that's all good. The Khnum was the equivalent god in Upper Kemet or the South. You know, there was a flip on Upper and Lower Kemet or Egypt. As you know, Lower Kemet was actually the northern part, and Upper Kemet was the southern part due to the depiction of the geographical and how our ancestors looked at the geographical disposition. You know what I'm saying? They were more accurate than the these people here today in their observance. That's the way we do things. You know what I'm saying? Some people might not see it like that. Up is down, down is up, but that's what it be. All right. All right. So there are several different concepts wrapping around the roots of the name Baphomet, as you know. One of the most common explanations is that it's an old French corruption from the name Muhammad. So it's like it's a Latinized version, and it's pronounced Muhammad, Mahomet, similar to Baphomet, who is Muhammad is the prophet of Islam. So during the Crusades, we know that the Knights Templars. Yes, daughter. What's up? It's a lot. No, I'll take you back. I'll take you in a little bit. Well, I can take you in the morning if you want, early in the early part of the day before 9:30. But you know, call Virginia and let her know. All right. All right, so as we know, the Knights Templars they say traveled abroad and were introduced to the Arabian mysticisms by Middle Eastern countries. Um, I don't know if that's to be true. The Knights Templars were, of course, Moors, so you know what I'm saying, to be introduced into Sufism basically, and be the ones to that were the creators of that is kind of uh, you know it speaks against the truth. And the reason being because it is a lot of misinformation out there. You know the story about what happened to the Templars, Knights Templars. Basically, they were, you could say, scapegoats by the Papal Church back in that day, due to um, the church. Well, basically, who was it, King Philip? He owed the Knights Templars a lot of money. You know, the Templars was getting a lot of treasures from all over the place and stuff. You know, they're pretty much uh, the million. You know, they're billionaires. Too. They had all that. You know what I'm saying? But basically, they were funding to build cathedrals like the Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? They actually funded to build that. But so what happens is the church owes them, and you know King Philip and everything owes them a whole big bunch of money, and he was like, "Shit, I can't pay all this money back." But he also knew that the Knight Templars was a great army, so he's like, if I don't pay all of it back, they might retaliate. So what he decided to do was get hundreds of the Knights Templars and accuse them of hereticism, basically being heretics, you know, going against the church. So they labeled them as heretics and said they were worshiping demons and stuff. And one of the demons was Baphomet and all that. You know, said they was homosexuals and everything. And some of them, I mean, they tortured them basically and made them confess to things that may not have been true. And one of the most more famous stories is about Jacques de Molay, or Jacques de Moray, like I say, because he changed that L over. You have de Moray. But one of the more famous stories is about his arresting, how he was arrested and then forced to comply to, you know, basically confess to saying he was uh, worshiping Baphomet or whatever and all that. But then when he was ready, they were about to light him up and they asked him again. He said, "Nah, that's not true." And he actually cursed the King Philip and and Pope Clement, and said that they both would be dead within a year and whatnot, which actually happened. So they say, which you know what I'm saying. Um, but what is kind of strange about the whole situation is that how the church was involved in murder or whatever, or burning people at the stake due to money, owing money, basically. You know what I'm saying? That's and it's like I said, that's one of the more famous, as well as like Joan of Arc and different things that took place. But they said it was, you know, warlocks and witches and all these things and all that. When in retrospect, it was all about hiding the fact that they didn't want to pay back a certain amount of money to them. So that's the conspiracy of them being involved with satanic worship and everything, and Baphomet heads and all this stuff came to light. But like I was saying, what's ironic is that all the stories that these Templars that were accused of being satanic worshippers and what they were worshiping and all that were different. That no one had the same type of story saying it was this one Baphomet, but they stuck that on them and everything. So that's probably misinformation about how the word or the name Baphomet was derived, um, out of this scenario. It could be, who knows? The way I look at it from my own perspective is it is it's coding. It's a Kabbalistic coding. You have to look at the word backwards. So you have Baphomet. The Ba is Ab, and that means father. And then you have Fo, which will be an acronym stating Omnium Hominem Pax. That's Pacts. So Omnium Hominem Pax, which basically means peace of the universe. So Omnium is basically universe, Pax is peace, and Homnium is men. So universal peace to all men. And then you have Tim, which is Templar, basically meaning temple. So Ab or Abbas is father. So it'll be Templar Omnium Hominem Pax Abbas, father of the temple of peace for all men, or the temple of Solomon. And Solomon is Sol An, so that's sun, sun, and sun in there are three different languages. So you have Sol, sun, in Latin, if I'm not mistaken, in Sanskrit, and An in ancient Kemetic. Sol An, so the three suns, the sun behind the sun behind the sun. The sun being the three suns, from my knowledge, is speaking on Sirius, then our sun, and then as it reaches our pineal gland, or the solar plexus region, if you will, the heart, and it infuses us with light and energy and life. So, from my own perspective, as I said, that could be the best take on what Baphomet, the name, could mean. Saying, as far as the father of the temple of peace of all men, the temple of Solomon, temple of peace of all men, Hotep, we want to, whatever. I mean, it is good to have inner peace, but it is not really speaking on a being outside of yourself. Gotta remember that. But the father of the temple of peace of all men, and they're using these words father, which is a very um, patriarchal type of title, dealing with what was going on at that time. And of course, we know that we are moving into a matriarch reality, but basically they use that word a lot, father, you know what I'm saying, and he inside of religions and everything, especially in America. All right, but so we go look at that other words. In other words, as I mean, y'all have done the knowledge on it, so we got like Rain Man and everything. So we look at the word rain means abundant blessings from above. It's water, water that is falling is rainwater. But if you look at it metaphysically, again, not just reading it out of a book or whatnot, as far as the knowledge is concerned, go deeper into it and we look at it from another perspective. We got abundance. We have abundance, you know what I'm saying? So a heavy fall or something coming down, and it brings about life, you know what I'm saying? That's what water does, rain, you know what I'm saying? And the ancients had a specific day, which was actually the new year that coincides with the summer solstice and the flooding system, or the indignation of the Nile. And that would also correlate to the new year and it bringing down that rain, you know what I'm saying, of abundance. So abundant blessings from above, or Rain Man, you know what I'm saying? As far as that old, as people were saying, even I think Eminem had a song, Rain Man, you know, which was speaking on, I guess, that energy, you know what I'm saying? So if we look at it in that sense, that's what it do. Do what thou wilt, you know what I'm saying? And that's the total of the law. And not to get into the Lester Crowley type of thing. I mean, study and research, but find out what's good for you for the most part. Everything for everybody. Rituals and magic and all that stuff. It might not be for you. I mean, I participated with it for a minute, but I found it to be like a backdrop to collectively knowing thyself within the simplistic yet complex mannerism of the breath, which it holds all things together basically. And once that takes place, you have what is called knowledge of self deeper within that metaphors. I mean, yeah, the metamorphosis. Thank you. All right. So, Rain Man, abundant blessings from above for man. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm looking at it like that sounds familiar. Rain Man. I read different religious, if you will, or spiritual texts, such as the Rig Veda and the Upanishads, and also the Ramayana. The Ramayana is a book that's basically talking about Hanuman, but Rama is a deity within the book who um, employs, I guess you could say, Hanuman to find his counterpart, his wife, Sita, who was kidnapped by um, by a demon guy. What's the demon's guy's name? I forget. What is his name? Ragui or something like that. But she was kidnapped by him. So Hanuman, in turn, goes out and has to do certain things, go through different obstacles, but eventually he rescues her from this demon god. But the word Rama um, is Sanskrit, and it has two related meanings. One, it means dark, colored, or black, and it's associated with the word Ratri, which means night. And Rama also means beautiful or lovely. There's another title of Rama is Beautiful Lovely Moon, or Ramachandra. So this word Rama again means dark colored or black. Rama. So This is what Ramayana basically means a mode or method of doing something in a spiritual sense. So the dark or the unseen mode of spiritual practice. And that, to me, ties it right back into who you are, knowledge of self, CL, knowledge of the Kael, the spirit of God, the power of God. And that's the knowledge of your melanin, basically. Know thyself, Kim Tum. Kim Tum again means Tim complete or Tum complete and Kim black. So the complete blackness, the complete darkness, you know. And Rama is the incarnation of the god Vishnu. Vishnu is the god of not wind, but this value. I'm gonna go through this right here. But he was represented with blue skin, so it goes back to Krishna and how that's talking about that black blue, the blue black, the melanin. Hold up 1 second. Okay. So that's Hanuman and Krishna there. Hanuman. The story of Hanuman is not meant to be literal. It is very symbolic. I've read it. Hanuman is one of my favorite characters within Hinduism, if you will. As far as the storyline and what it means symbolically, as it sends a psychological and spiritual message to one. And when you obtain the meaning of the symbolism that's within it, it organizes in it. To understand it, you have to really know what's going on within yourself somewhat. So of course, I use the tree of life and a few things, or the Kabbalah. You know what I'm saying? The Patim the tree of life. And when you look at it in that case, you see that there is a triunity or trinity with Shiva, um, Shakti, and basically Hanuman. So all creation is based on the union of male and female energies, and then inside of that union gives forth offspring. So in the case of Hanuman, there have been a lot of stories that have been birthed, but basically, right at this moment, is we're talking about when we in the storyline, it's like they were Shiva and his consort Parvati were out playing, but playing does not mean like just having fun. Like to talk about playing is like the moving of energy. So they was enjoying each other inside that forest, or basically enjoying nature. The energies, the two masculine and feminine energies of electromagnetism. Electromagnetism was enjoying nature, and then in doing so, the symbol that is significant inside of that represents the force to create. So the three connected, being the male and female sexual union or the plane, you know what I'm saying, inside of the garden, connected and created the male creative power or the Hanuman. So you have Keter, then you have Bina, and you have Chakma. Keter meaning the light, and then, or the crown, and then Bina meaning understanding, and Chakma meaning wisdom. So the Hebrew word, yeah, yeah, what is it? It's open. You have to push it. What's up?
Are you still on the thing? What are you talking to?
I know. I'm gonna take you out to the. It's about like 9:30. I got you a little bit. All right, I'm trying to get it together. I know they're gonna keep knocking. All right. So what is it? Where is it? Where were we? So the forces of nature, they were out there playing and everything. Again, that's energy, and one of the most powerful, prevalent energies in life is sexual energy, but that's the energy to create. So those two forces, electromagnetic energy, or masculine and feminine, came together and created what we call Hanuman. So if we're looking at the Baphomet symbol here, we notice that, let's get a bigger window. We notice that inside there, right there at the top, you got Kether. You know what I'm saying? That's the flame, the light. Again, Kether means light. But then we go and look at the tree of life here. We see Kether at the top. It's also the whole diagram. Basically, to me, the symbol reflects the same symbol of the Baphomet. Basically, if you look at them very closely, you see Malkuth here. Then you see Kether all the way at the top, and how each side corresponds to or interplays with duality, and then corresponds and connects back together. So there is a completion. So there is no such thing as harmony with light only, as well there is no balance with darkness only. So there is a if you will, a connection. So that goes back or relates to Semitwaye, the union of the two lands, Haru and Set. Haru Set, like darkness and light. You see the two moons, one moon in the right hand, the other moon in the left hand, and it brings about the interchange of a commonality, or basically union. So you have a dark moon at the bottom, and you have a light moon at the top. One is one hand pointing up and the other pointing down, the ancient Hermetic symbol of as above, so below. As we were speaking on earlier in inside of the chants and everything prior to coming in on this vernacular exchange here. So we got, and as far as that sexual energy we was talking about, again, the god of the wind takes those forces, the sexual potency that came out of divine interaction, and then guides it to a woman who was praying as a child, or for a child, and that woman was was Hanuman's mother. So Shiva and Parvati, or Shu and Tefnut, they built up a lot of that energy, sexual energy, so much so that Shiva expressed itself or had an orgasm out into the atmosphere. And because he didn't want to waste or pollute nature or create some kind of like corruption or one of those shadow beings, he asked the god of the wind, who is Vayu, to pick up that energy and make proper use of it. So the god of wind took the forces or took that semen, that sexual energy, or you know what I'm saying, that electromagnetic energy, the wind picked it up, and then through divine interactions, God did to the woman that was praying for a child who was Hanuman's mother. So that sexual potency is the god of wind, who in Sanskrit is called Vayu. But when I was not reading, but what I'm reading now, but when I was saying that earlier, it's from the immortality, truth without deceit or truth without falsehood is a certain most truth. So one part of it is that it states that the wind carries it in its belly. So the father is the sun, the mother is the moon, and the wind carries it in its belly. Let me bring that up. Mm. So the emerald tablets, as you can read, if you see it, I don't know if it's big enough, but anyway, it's right there. It says, on the second stanza, its father is the sun, its mother is the moon, the wind carries it in its belly. Its nurse is the earth, it is the origin of all, the consecration of the universe. The inherent strength is perfected if it is turned into earth. What is it talking about? It's talking about the father is the sun. The sun came out the sky and had a baby. What with the moon? The wind carried it in his belly. What? No, it's talking about the breath. How the breath, for instance, conception. You may have heard someone speak on this before, but conception, conceive, concept means brain basically, or hat, sept cap, like a baseball cap. So sept in etymology means the head. So con means to come, so to come from the head, concept, and shin, tion, means the state. So conception means basically the state of coming from the mind. So how do we gather energy that comes forth into the mind or the brain and then is emitted out of the sexual organs by way of the breath, basically? Step down information from cosmic, galactic, then solaric and photonic energy that materializes in the forms of atoms and cells on a physical level. So as those things flow down through the portal, it states its father is the sun, meaning that it flows down from a solaric point of view, and its mother is the moon. The moon can be looked at as a woman or man, so as the sun. The moon is that magnetic energy, the sun is that electric energy, and the wind or the breath is carrying both, that masculine and feminine aspect, as it is nursed on the earth. You know what I'm saying? So as it grows and is nurtured by Mother Earth, it becomes what it is, you know what I mean, over time and space, if you will. Linear and circular. And that brings about that spiraling exchange. The two main movements of life are linear and circular. And when they are combined and are in agreement, it brings about a spiraling effect. And in doing so, we have what is called basically DNA. But also, it's different representations of what we look at as DNA. When
90 seconds.
When we're looking at that, the Baphomet, we notice that within the groin area or the phallus is a rod and two serpents coming up to meet at the head of the rod, and then there's a circle around it. So that rod is representative of the staff of Hermes, of course, and
60 seconds.
the two serpents is being recognized as the two energies connecting, like either Ida and Bengala, or the sacral energies going back up to the spine, the cerebral spinal fluid going back up and connecting at the pineal gland, and that in this case is right at the solar plexus region. So this is the staff of Hermes, which is talking about the lower base energies going back up and reaching the point of the pineal gland, pituitary gland region, and then causing or creating within one the transformation of enlightenment, a good health, good humor, basically. You know what I'm saying? We take it, the word enlightenment, and we throw it around, as some type of spectacular event. It is really what it is, but reaching that point, takes it's a process, and the ancestors went through it, you know what I mean, and they laid down paths for us to be able to tread on those roads as well within this thing we call life, without it being so physical and have strife within it, even if we ain't got nothing, to talk about. But yet, certain things has taken place to where we have forgotten our way. But you see that right there, it also coincides to different symbols that have been around for eons. So you got these serpents intertwined, all representing one aspect basically, and that's that DNA, as you see right there in the center. And that script, that word, those symbols within our genome, our genetics, that make us who we really are. Tapping back into that energy is tapping back into your Godhead, yourself, your self, you know. As we look at it, as above, so below. So this is the solar system here falling through the universe, floating down, coming down. That's that step down information, if you will, or flowing up. So the DNA, the structure of the double helix, as above, so below. So if we're looking at that, we're also looking at our DNA coming from streamlining down from series A and B in that elliptical that takes place every 50 years and every great year of 460 some years. And we are almost at a great year. It's like 100 years or so, 100 years or more before that event takes place. And that's one reason for the weather anomalies, as well as force manipulation of weather patterns due to geoengineering. We're not going to talk about right at the moment. But as you can see, the DNA here, and how our ancient brothers and sisters they knew about this by way of the spiraling effect that was depicted on different symbols. I'm gonna have to turn some light on in here. It's getting dark outside. It was a nice day too. I got something in. I'm kind of tired. It's not really a little fatigued. I've been out working out. Got to train with one of my brothers today. Get this light. Oh. So as above, so below. And we can look at different symbols that have been around. This is one of my favorites right here. It threw me when I seen it the first time, but I was like, okay, look at it. Look at this guy. Oh, that's right. a lot going on right here. Hold up. Of course, it's the as above, so below there. One of the most common, as we've seen. And then we have John Travolta right there, Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever, I mean, doing this 1-2. I don't know what he was doing right there. Doing the 1-2 shuffle. But you can see that he is as above, so below. And he got the all white on with the black, representing Haru and Set, darkness and light on the Illuminati checkerboard or whatever really is. That is pertaining to the universal grid. If you're dealing with physics and the threads of how all things in existence are like threaded together inside of a pattern, yet you have to be there. You have to be there with George Washington. As above, so below. It's George Washington right there, sitting up there. I think the Smithsonian or somewhere like that. And he got it. Be doing the pointing up and pointing down. It's another one. It's another one. But check this out right here. Oh, wrong one. Hold up. That's the Nagas. Hold up. I'm going ahead of myself right there. Get back up here. I didn't notice I scrolled. Here we go. So it says images of the Baphomet demon and Jesus both display the same hand sign symbol. I wonder why. Is Jesus the devil and Baphomet God? Hey, okay. King James also authored a book on demonology. The King James he did a book about demonology and all these demons inside here and shit. Well, they call them demons, but of course, you know the math on that Timon, so images of the Baphomet. You see in images of Jesus here, they're both holding up these two fingers, one pointing up, another pointing down. Why Jesus always holding these fingers up? What does that represent? You know what I'm saying? These two fingers, and why the Baphomet as above, so below? What's going on with those fingers? You know what I'm saying? What is it connected to? So we dealing with the 5 phases, the 5 fingers, with the traditional Chinese medicine. So all the fingers relate to a different aspect of our organ system. Those 2 fingers are the liver and the kidneys. And we just went through Easter and winter. Winter is talking about the kidneys, water, and that's right here, water. And then the next finger next to it is the liver, wood. It's talking about wood, and that's fruition, but that's spring. That's the liver. So your kidneys, water, wood is the liver. So those 2 fingers right there, in retrospect, are interconnected by way of that pattern, but also by way of what's going on, purification. One of the two main organs that we would like to purify and detoxing is the liver and the kidneys to keep that blood flowing, which would be the fire right there, flowing properly so the earth can grow and be functionable throughout the year. And the way that takes place is by way of the lungs, which is metal. You know what I'm saying? The earth is the spleen. And then we have the heart right here is the fire. The wood is liver energy, and water is kidney energy. So all that interplay right there, those 5 different elements, is also broadcasted within the symbol that we call Baphomet. Of course, the pentagram is on the forehead of Baphomet. The interplay of those 5 different elements, or the 4 modalities, if you will, fire, air, water, earth, and spirit rising at the top. That's the Kethi right there. So this Baphomet is all over the place in mystery systems. It dates back to the 19th century as far as the Knight Templars and the Freemasons, but basically it's been around for eons. You know, it has different meanings. Some look at it as a pan. Let's see here. Sometimes. Oh boy, sometimes I just don't know what to say about my computer. Oh no, it's actually not the computer. It's me. Ah, oops. Okay, there it is. Pan, Pan or Pond, Peter Pan. Okay, now it's stuck. I like that. Very cool. Very cool. Alright, so Pan right there. You know what Pan is. Even the Greek gods, goat head. It's also depicted from. It's a bastardized form of Banev the Jet, or the goat of Mendes. So that is another way of looking at Baphomet Pan, who was again a Greek deity. Was a nature god. Um, had animalistic type features, but basically was a god of nature and fruition. Had horns on his head, as you can see, like that right there. Kind of a funny looking dude, you ask me. Right there, that one picture. Look like me though, a little bit though on the rear. Sometimes, let me see. Let me look. Hold up. Nah, not really. Don't look like me. My hair. I don't have horns. I got the Billy Goat beard though. It's with a rim, but not really. I hope you've got found right there. Hold up. All right. That's the magical card or the tarot. Oh, where'd it go? I did jump away. It's like it erased it. It's still on here. Everybody, anyway. This is like I said, there's a lot of duplications of what Baphomet is, but from my own perspective, Baphomet is it's also let me look at the Molik before we go into the other representation I'm gonna bring to the table. So it was faded behind something right there. Some. So 13 days of preparation. Reading this right here. 13 days of preparation. The court significance of April 19th to May 1st. That's May 1st is Beltane Day. Bel meaning Lord and Tane meaning fire, Lord of fire. So April 19th is the first day of the 13-day satanic ritual days, if you want to call it satanic. Something that was practiced back in the day in paganism, if you will, and it wasn't so grotesque or so aggressive as what we speak on today. But they still practicing these things as it trickulated into different cultures and different ways of people's personalities or perceptions. So this ritual day relating to fire, the fire god Baal or Moloch, Nimrod, the sun god, also known as the Roman god Saturn, Satan, the devil. This day is a major human sacrifice day, demanding fire sacrifice with an emphasis on children. This day is also one of the most important human sacrifice days, and as such, has had some very important historic events occur on this day. It's talking about May 1st, basically. But throughout the whole 13-day preparation for May 1st, there's all type of stuff that can take place and does take place, even prior to that day. So we're looking at Saturn right there, and we just viewed your boy right there, John Travolta, you know what I'm saying, Saturday Night Fever here. Saturn Day, you know what I'm saying, basically Saturday is representing Saturn Day, but also the Sabbatic Goat, or the Goat of Mendes. Another name or title for Baphomet is the Sabbatic Goat. So what day is Sabbath on it? It's not Sunday in retrospect to Judaism. What we say is Sunday for Christianity. It's not Sunday for so-called Jew. So Sabbath is on Saturday, Sabbath day. You know, so that Sabbatic goat, the Saturn goat. Okay, hold up. Let me see what's going on here. You gotta forgive me. I've been all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Someone that came in, my daughter and my niece came in for a minute, but give thanks. I love them to death. I said, are you still on there? But get back to this real quick. We've been in here, got a little distracted at the beginning due to some things going on with connecting, but all in all, it's in there, it's on there. Try to give my best, my all to you. Alright, so yeah, so that Saturday, Sabbath, Saturday Night Fever. And in retrospect, I'm just gonna look at this right here too. In pertaining to Saturn is the base energy. You know what I'm saying? Chakra, the base chakra. Also represents Capricorn and Aquarius. We know Capricorn to be a ram. You know what I'm saying? But that is the constellation as far as pertaining to star or astrology, the constellation that it is connected to is the base energy, and the subtle body is the etheric body. As we're speaking on in us, you know, the tether or the etheric body, ether, and the physical body. But this is the base chakra related to the planet Saturn, Saturday, the deity within the scope of trying to find that picture. Talking about Monique. And I want to give you a brief definition of Monique. So like we was looking at it the other day. Someone called me and asked me what I did on 420. I was like, shit, I forgot about it. But in relating to 420 metaphysically and in these rituals that are being taking place, it's something, you know what I'm saying, fairly new. 420 started back in the 90s with the High Times book, the High Times magazine, and Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. Somebody that was floating around with them or something was working with High Times and all that. But anyway, they didn't coin it. I did some research. I this group of young athletes at a California school called the Waldos would meet up at 420. That was their code. But after like basketball, baseball practice or whatever, they would meet up right there and they would smoke out at the wall. So they called it the Waldos. But this 420 was the time that they met. You know what I mean? But they asked me, I was like, how was your 420? I was like, I forgot about it, 420, because, you know, I don't smoke, so I wouldn't even think about it. What I do on 420? So me and Dr. Aline had brunch that morning, if I'm not mistaken. If that's the right day. We had we ate a whole food. But so she was saying something about how whoever she was with at that on that occasion had said that 420 was based on a law that was being passed that had been passed in California for legalizing marijuana. And then I was like, hold up, when was this law, you know what I'm saying, approved? When did they pass this law? And it was passed in 2005. But, you know, this 420 celebration has been going on since, like I said, the early 90s. Got popularized the later part of the 90s, but it started in 1990. But this law was passed in 2005, and it's a 420 law. So, you know, there goes that Hegelian dialect, you know, where we have problem, reaction, solution. You know, not to get out of, we're going to get back to that, but Malik, this is out of the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and we are coming out of this book speaking on the definition of Malik. All right, so Malik, king, ruler, counselor, judge. He was the national god of the Ammonites. Children were sacrificed to him by way of fire. Malcolm is another name of this god. Metaphysically, Malik means the ruling of public opinion and of the mind of the flesh in one's consciousness. Children's being sacrificed in the fire to this god signifies one's mental burning or mentally burning and destroying new ideas by letting fear of or deep regard for what other persons may think, the public opinion. When the prejudice, customs, and desires of that outer man of flesh rule in one's life to the extent that one refuses or neglects to give place and expression to these new and higher ideals. So that burning, you know, that 420 collective, I mean, everybody is on it. I can't knock it. I ain't brand new. I smoked for a long period. Cigarettes, weed, I smoked crack. You know what I'm saying? For a little second, not like that to talk about, but I did participate in. I was on a lot of different drugs, hard drugs, drinking all the time. And what I found is myself through and by way of interaction with the ancestors, and as well as with the other corresponding representations of nature. Now, to each his own. You know what I mean? Some things may seem to be sufficient, yet if you are noticing anything in your walk that has not yet manifested properly, certain things may need to be taken away and certain things may need to be added. But so metaphysically, Malik is talking about fear. You know, there really is only two emotions. And hold up. Wait. Remember, symbols are all over the place. So symbols relates to the archetypal information that's within our DNA and how it spreads out and then forms the conscious reality that we have, or the seen reality that we participate with. You know, there's spirals, you know what I'm saying, going up those two different strands of information, call it RNA. But basically, let me get together here. As above, so below. You know, we're looking at things that's taking place outside of us that may not particularly be healthy for our transition due to its apparent drive or motivation to bring about every desire and feeling. So the question is, are we owned or do we own the triune self? So the triune self is the knower, thinker, and the doer. It's the aspect of one's nature, true nature. If we can recall, the majority of the population depends on the worldview for closure on most subjects pertaining to life. So this can be troubling and mentally debilitating when not balanced with an intuitive perspective by observing the experience properly. You know what I'm saying? Hearing, seeing, and beings. And you know, as they say, believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. So knowing is believing. Seeing is hearing is believing, seeing is knowing, and when you're becoming, you're participating with that energy. So that's being, experiencing is being, experiencing, knowing is half the battle, but as you go through these exchanges, you have to see what it really is about by experiencing it. So a lot of us we participate with this energy or life, and it's through the participation that is brought about. Well, through that participation, it brings about ideas and thoughts that may swamp our mind set, and then we become attached to that sensation that then forms our psychological atmosphere. Thereby, we become addicted to the stimulus that is fed to us from our senses through the external environment. Now, this can literally, basically, stifle us. It can vacuum the life out of our persona, solely on the account that the active dialogue that proceeds from these focused opinions that are delivered by the worldview are based on fear, and we should definitely check. The true self should check each thought and be attentive of what is forming in that pattern of the information before we participate with that thought, and we should observe it and then conceive prior to actualizing into a physical desire. So thereby, the individual way to do itself would commence to catalog each preconceived idea before we activate it into a mishap of misery or gift of prosperity. So what I'm saying is that everything in creation, all physical things in creation, need momentum or motivation, attention, and desire, basically, which is in essence emotion or energy in motion. So that's that, that breath, that wind, that you know what I'm saying, the wind carries it in its belly, you know what I mean? So that energy going up, then it You know, it's nursed by the earth, the physical body. But then as it flows, it's you separate the earth from the heaven, the subtle energy from the gross energy, and then it gently, by way of the mind, it transforms into what it is in actuality. You know what I'm saying? So what it states is that the latter part of the emerald tablets, it states what as above and below part aspect of the emerald tablets. It states that many wondrous applications come from this pattern. So when the worldview as we know it, as again, is based on two emotions, love and fear. But basically, the strongest, is most of, in retrospect, is one of the strongest emotions right now is fear. So as these fundamental desires are subdued and arrested and force fed this toxic type of reality, it produces light that is based on fear, and that energy then gives off the manifestation from the participants' attention that has been focused on this fear externally, and the light of the intelligence, or the immortal light of the intelligence, or the hidden intelligence, the hidden light of the intelligence, amon-ra, is transformed into what has been observed in repetition. You know, the easiest way to brainwash a person is to repeatedly tell them the same thing over and over, and it gets stained in their brain. So therefore, whatever's in the mind set, again, you know what I'm saying, turns into what has been perpetrated within the breath. What we breathing in, we breathe back out, conceiving what is in the mind or is in the brain, this hologram. So when all this taking place, it is wise to, like I said, check yourself, your true self, and notice where these thoughts are coming from. Be attentive of the pattern of that information and observe your actions that are conceived prior to the actualization of the physical activity. So see it in mind first and notice what we're about to do. Then start cataloging all these preconceived ideas before it activates into something that we might not necessarily find healthy for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So like what I was saying with 420, you know, some people might think it's whatever is, you know, is the date of the passing of the law, or they might have found, you know, did the research on it about 420 back in the day, you know. But I look at it like 420, 42, and the 42 assessors of Osir, the 42 confessions of Ma'at, 7 times 6. You know what I'm saying? Yet when we have a distraction or anything that's obstructing that path to get back to the truth of one's own true nature, you know, I was doing the 42 earlier. That was that new proof. So check out the T. I ain't break it out, but about to break it out. What time we got? 10 o'clock. Been on here for a sec. So you got the T right here. So new poo new. Oh, I have record. Yeah. This is a brand right here. It's a personal T-shirt that I made myself here. I'm gonna bring them out. If y'all want one, hit me up. Hit up Dr. Aleem or something. I'll get them out there to you. Maybe you can see it might be too much light. Yeah, light kind of bright right there. So let me sit still. This is the black version. Hold on. Dang. Okay, there we go. Move it over. But as you can see, it has shit. The camera is crazy, ain't it? Gotta get used to how it has Osir, Iset, Tahuti, and Ampu on there. But what it says right here at the top, right there. Let me move my beard out the way. Nupu Nuke. Nupu Nuke means I am that I am. So you got Nupu Nuke. Now I was saying earlier Nupu, it's like Nupu Nebharu. Nupu Nebharu. Nebaru. Or Nupu Nebharu, meaning a Neb again, Lord or light, but just Lord. So Neb and light, Lord of light, Nebharu. So when we go back into that name, to the name Ba Neb Dijit. So the Lord of the soul of the Lord of Osir, or the backbone or the energy, Dajid or Tet, the spine. You know what I'm saying? So it will be the Lord of the soul of the spine, or the energy, the Lord of the soul of the energy. Again, this is the black version here. We go this way. There we go. And I got different shirts, but this is what it says on the back. Nupu Nuke, I am that I am. So Nupu means I am. Then you put that other nuke on there. I am. I am that nuke. I am Poo that. And then nuke again. I am that I am. And of course, these deities don't live outside of yourself. You know the deal. Okay, where we at? There we go. Tahuti wisdom. That's again the Kether. Well, that tree of life right there. I'll see at the top. And you got Tahuti wisdom, Chokma. And you have Ampu, which represents the Beck. That's the 8th seat. Then you have Aset, it represents the 9th seat, and also means the seat or the kingdom, your side. But see how it flows out right there, the wings of Aset. This is the same shirt, but it's gray. You got the same symbols on it. But like I said, I got different ways of putting these shirts together. If you would like one, let me know. 15 a pop. Just on the strength of what it does, how you got to put it together. You're on this money, I make them on the machine over here, on those joints. So yeah, Malik and fear and the Hegelian dialect. So this fear is operating source of our delusion, if you will. How so? We're gonna go into this realm right here, a little current events. Even like this is a picture here. Yeah. So, we have a lot of misinformation out there. We say something going on and it's going on. So I see people glued to the box all the time, to the TV, that boob tube, that the ghost in the shell, and they don't understand why they can't get away from it. But it's a lot going on with the entrainment process and all that other good stuff. But basically, television and media infuses us daily with information and images that are transforming the energy and motion into this physical reality by way of external melanin. Remember, all things are by way of the sun, so even in the artificial state, it had to originate from a spiritual atmosphere, from the original. So we pick it up and we try to we try to force ourselves to believe some of this shit. But from zero, from ground zero, ain't none of this real. It's an illusion. It's a hologram. But we get caught up in that emotion, and we, like I said, we force ourselves. But it's intent over force, intelligence over the force, of the energy and movement. You know what I'm saying? See it in its non-movement, it's easier to manipulate it. So we focus that energy. Dr. Chris Wilson said, Francis Chris Wilson said that we must be able to utilize our energy force in a laser-like manner to neutralize the war approaching us. You know what I'm saying? So basically, what I've seen in that is we need to be more natural in our day-to-day activity. You know what I'm saying? Participate with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So is the spoon or the food or the substance is on the spoon more important? What's more important, the spoon or the substance? You know what I'm saying? So like, is the tool more important than what is being taken place inside of that action? And in reality, neither one is more important. It's how we balance both energies together to form the truth in our experience. But sometimes we get caught up on the sustenance, or sometimes we get caught up on the tool that we use to get that sustenance in. So don't get caught up on the hype of media. We're gonna look at a few things that took place in the last couple of days, real quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? But before I do that, let's tie in with melanin and how melanin and Baphomet are related. The melanin being pretty much everything, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it like that, it is. Okay, that's where that is, but hey, where is that? Dang, I went all the way up there. Okay. I know these awkward moments where I just I'll try to find this clip real quick. Where is it? All right, it is not there. Maybe I don't got it. But anyway, so melanin is all things. You know what I'm saying? Um, the hidden light of the intelligence, ancestral information, Ankh Star ancestor. You know what I'm saying? Or Merkaba, the Ankh Star, the answer. So from my own perspective, this can also be viewed as that nanodiamond that formed in the carbon that eventually formed into life or the melanated populace of this planet. So from whatever these comets and meteors were doing when they crashed down onto this domain eons ago, what the effect was, it was the melanated populace. But these same nanodiamonds that were collected on these comets and meteors are forever present, and they are prescribed as step down information, meaning that universal or cosmic information to galactic to solaric to photonic information or light that is embedded in all vessels or every object on this planet Earth. So everything is subject to that. So going back to the Emerald Tablets where it says it overcomes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. I need to have these things numbered. I mean, not numbered, but titled, not numbered. Okay, 42. So it says right there, It overcomes every subtle thing and penetrates every solid thing. And what it's talking about? It's talking about that subtle energy, that photonic energy, step down from solaric energy, step down from galactic, from cosmic or universal energy. So it's penetrating everything, the atom, atom-ra, you know what I'm saying? Penetrating all things in existence, every subtle thing and every solid thing. But that's melanin. And when we really dealing with your natural self, and like even with the symbol of Baphomet, we do have to participate with truth in our experience, and that means nature, basically, because everything's already paved out, I mean, naturally speaking. But then going against what is already there, because the ego is gonna tell us something different by way of the five senses. You know what I'm saying? It may lead us astray or hinder our path and make things longer, take longer. So when the science of Baphomet, because this is the science of Baphomet, it's a real type of science. Science means to know, basically, Sion, Latin for to know, and it's a real one. And but you have to acknowledge it and understand the philosophy and the principles behind it. So this process brings about. It has to be obtained by willpower, basically, and spiritual willpower at that. So then it develops you into that king head or that guy head by way of utilizing the elementary world of that step down information within your prescribed reality. So, like the emerald tablets and the symbol of Hermes and the operation of the sun, what it's speaking about is that motive power, that motive energy. You know what I'm saying? It is a universal magical power or spiritual power. You know what I'm saying? That's very intense and aggressive if not balanced and harmonized. So the whole symbol of Baphomet is talking about the harmony of those two realms. You know what I'm saying? The feminine aspect, the masculine aspect. Um, as you can see, the Baphomet has breast of a woman and the phallus of a man. Um, it has a goat's head, speaking on animalistic nature. And then it has wings of a bird, speaking about flying above that animalistic lower self. The goat or the ram is a very intelligent animal, very curious as well, and independent, but it is stubborn as well. You know what I'm saying? The goat head. The horns on the Baphomet represent well-being. You participate with like Thanksgiving, you got that cornucopia, which means the horn of plenty, and the symbol of abundance and nourishment. There, then it goes back to that rain man, within mythology or Ramayana. So the five-pointed star represents the four modalities: earth, air, water. You know what I'm saying? And earth. I mean, fire, air, water, and earth, and then spirit rising, and that goes all the way to the top of the light or Keter, the vast countenance, the crown. But that interplaying of those energies in its correct function brings about the interchange of light and sound to the pineal gland, which is where melanin or melatonin is formed and spread throughout the body. It's two hands forming up, as above, so below. So, you know what I'm saying? You got those two interconnected energies of mother and father within that. That's the sacred marriage, the heroes gamios. It's also the opus, it's called the great work of the opus magnus. So that great work, it doesn't take place overnight. Although we was born enlightened, it took 30, 40 years for us to become unenlightened, so to speak, due to the practice of certain ideologies and dogmas that may not have necessarily been healthy or true to us, but we went through it for the experience, so we can't knock it. Yet, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we need to go and sit in meditation for 30 years to try to figure out how to get to the point of spirituality. It's just like certain symbols that if we focus on them improperly and we don't see the actualization within it, then it may be, like I said, detrimental to our growth pattern. So we have, the one arm saying solve, the other saying coagula. Solve means to dissipate, or basically, and coagula means to congeal or to harden. So in alchemy, you burn off certain energies and you harden certain energies, basically, to burn off the lead to try to form the gold, basically. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see in that picture, it's gold and black. But so to get to that spiritual realm, you got to use that melanin properly, the darkness and light fused together, and bring about an interchange and an exchange of the proper alignments that will, in essence, bring about well-being and good health, good humor, longevity. But you accessing your ancestral information, you tapping into your past and your future without even being in either realm physically, but staying in this moment of now time and being able to do who and what you're supposed to be doing, or do what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Doing what we are here for is one of the main things we get, further in life. But it also frustrates us when we have no knowledge of ourselves and and everything is pertaining to that fear element that we have been spoon fed over time and forced to believe is our truth, when in actuality it isn't. You know what I'm saying? So what media is doing is cut to this chase right here. Cut to the scene. So the other day, Sri Lanka, what was it, actually Easter? So Easter was on the 22nd. I don't know, I didn't keep up with the days, but I think it was 22nd. Today is 23rd. Easter Monday was yesterday. That was the 22nd. So Easter Sunday was the 21st. So the 21st of April, there was a big bunch of bombings over in Sri Lanka. Lanka means island. Sri means beautiful. Also, it derives from Syria. Syria is another way, but it's Arabic for light. So this island of light, you know what I mean? There again goes back to the root. But it's one of those rituals, fire blowing up, fire rituals that's within that 13 days again. So it's on the 21st. A collective ritual was, of course, the 420 holiday or holy day. I don't know what we're going to call that. But basically, that 420 is engineered, man. You know what I'm saying? Is how they gonna put 420 as the law that was passed in California to legalize marijuana if it wasn't already within the Hegelian dialect, problem, reaction, solution. Just as this right here, like see the Sri Lanka bombings, problem, reaction, solution. Right now, the problem is the actual bombings, and reaction is what's going on. I haven't heard of a solution, but you best believe it was already predetermined prior to the event taking place physically. They sat down somewhere, and this is what the collective powers that be, who seeks in these powers of illusion, came together. And when we do see whatever conclusion or whatever the solution may be, you know what I'm saying? They went in and bombed a big bunch of churches and hotels, you know what I'm saying? Where, people were, on Easter. Easter. Esther. Esther is another name for star. Astral. You know what I'm saying? Or go back to Ishtar. You know what I'm saying? But Easter. Uh, and, we're dealing with children because of Easter. So that it goes into the ritualistic rites that do take place at this time of the year, is like what was it called? Ides of March. But on this particular date is Easter, and April 19th, which is human sacrifices and blood rituals. You know what I'm saying? Male or female adults, but also ceremonial preparation and holding for sacrificial victims and abduction, like the thing was saying about Malik, you know, in concern with um, taking children and having human sacrifices. So Ishtar is the consort of Dumuzi in the Sumerian pantheon, and their child is Tammuz, who is um, where we get the word Thomas from. And Thomas means twin, and if you know anything about the Bible, you know Thomas and Jesus were good, or Yeshua, Thomas, and Yeshua or Jesus were good friends, but that Thomas means twin. It's just a doppelganger. It's that tether. You know, they tie together. But when that thing took place, you know, it was a big bunch of churches in relation to what's going on with sun energy, Easter, you know what I'm saying, solar energy, and if it's stepped on, not just stepped down, and manipulated with that fear element in place of love, then that fractalization takes place to on and off, but it starts to trickle. You know what I'm saying? So they one emotional love all of a sudden just turned into a big bunch of hate and fear. You know, everybody running for their dear life, scared to die. You know, even though they in the talking about they about to go to heaven and everything. So that knowledge itself, and I know it's a strange reality already, but participate with it. I'm just going through it real quick. So Sri Lanka right there. So we have a different take on it in Sri. So light, like Syria, and Lanka. So Lanka means island. So, but Syria also means beautiful island, but the island of light. And then when we look at this other event that took place back in March with this guy, I forget his name, Philip or something, right? You know what I'm saying? King Philip right here again, right? Um, March 15th, which is actually the day of March Ides. You know what I'm saying? I was just speaking on. But the Ides of March is a unlucky day, they say. You know what I mean? A lot of people got massacred and shit like that. I think they said Julius Caesar was assassinated on the 15th of March, or the Ides of March. Ides it was talking about the moon's phases, and that's when the full moon between March, or between the 15th and the 17th, the full moon will usually appear. So you have cow, then you have new or noon. The cow would be representing um, the new moon. Then new represent the quarter moon, and then you have odds representing that would represent basically the full moon dates. But that's also when they said that's why they called it the March of Odds, is being unlucky because they say Julius Caesar was assassinated on that day. But see what happened here is dude goes in and he goes to these different areas within this city um, inside of New Zealand, and the city was called Anur. And you know what Al-Nur means. Nur, Noor, is Arabic for light. I think the name is Church, Christ Church, or something like that. Town, I forget. But that's another, take on who we are as far as a people. But they're doing it from a different perspective, a different angle here now. You know what I'm saying? So, but Al Nur means light again. So we go back to Sri Lanka, and also the churches and hotels or where people are. So bring about that fear element. All right. And then all of a sudden, what was the day on that one? It was what took place over there in Paris, France. It was April 15th. So that's like 31 days, 30 days after what happened in March with the Ides of March. So you got the thing jumping off with the Notre Dame or the Our Lady Notre Dame, talking about Mary energy, and that's going back to Easter or Ishtar again.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Right there in that same time frame. And that's all it all in it plays with fire again. Some type of fire, some type of blood ritual, some type of something going on with people passing away or dying within that whole schematics of activity. So when you're doing the math and you do a little research, I think someone said something about how they saw a ghostly image appear at the top of the cathedral while it was burning. Said millions of people saw it. It was actually, what's the dude's name? He was a former member of Freemasons, Leonzagami. Wow. Okay, Leo Leonzagami is his name. Leo Leonzagami. But he stated that while they was looking out there, they noticed that it was a ghostly figure that had came forth outside of, that was dressed in a similar manner as this picture of a Moor. But as you can see the face on that Moor, what color is that Moor right there? Well, this nice Templar. That nice Templar is a Moor, right? I mean, just by distinction of color. I'm just saying, melanated basically, but this is a night Templar, image. And they said that they seen in this fiery destruction someone dressed in that manner at the top. And just the aftermath here. Notre Dame, Now, is there any truth in them seeing a spiritual, ghostly type of aspiration or whatever floating around out there? The ectoplasmic. You got to get the Ghostbusters out there. Who you gonna call and all that? Hey, I don't know, but a good brother did purportedly get assassinated or martyred, if you will. By the name of Nipsey Hussle or Prometheus Ascadam. And earlier I did at the end of that meditation, I spoke Shem Imhotep, Nagas, Shem Imhotep Karas Nagasun, Emeritus Nipsey Hussle Ascadam. Shem Imhotep. Shem Imhotep means go in peace, regardless of the state of the physical reality and how it flows in and out with a lot of negativity right now because of what we participating with, what we looking at. Good brother here. Son means brother. But so Shem Imhotep. Son Nemiris Ashkedan. Shem Nebutep. Alright. Could his energy have been that more? You know what I'm saying? At the top of that mountain right there, or that Notre Dame, if you will. That's a good question. Who can answer it? No, not me. I don't know. But he, or that energy, that intelligence that resided within him, was he more or a nice Templar in the past life? Maybe he was Jacques de la Morre. Maybe he was Baphomet. Hey, who knows? I'm just just joking on that. But as far as I'm just from a metaphysical point of view, you can't believe everything you hear anyway. So it's just something a hearsay and everything from what I've researched and what was said by certain people within that view of being right there. I wasn't there, so hearing is believing, seeing is knowing. So I don't know, but he did come. I ain't gonna front. That energy came to my dream one night, a couple of days after it happened, and the brother was dancing, right? In jubilance, like very happy, and it was like break dancing. I ain't never seen a brother dance like this before, though. You know what I'm saying? He got on the floor and did some shit that I can't remember what he said it was, but it was a new type of break dance. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no titles that I ever heard, like pop locking and all that. He was doing something there. He was pop locking at first. Then all of a sudden he dropped down and was doing something on his knees around with his elbow and then got back up. But what got my attention was where we were located and then what he did next. He had on all white, spirit, Osil, Obatala. He had on all white. And he started running up an embankment that was underground, you know what I'm saying? Sort of like a aqueduct or something, like in California where they got them little places that the homeless people might live underground, but it's like two sides. One side go up in the incline, then it's flat, and then there's another side to go up in the incline, sort of like a tunnel. But he was exercising, like he was running up. Exercise means to, like exorcist. It means to take out from the physical and put into the inner side, get that inner spiritual reality flowing properly. But he was going up that thing, then he came back down, then he went back up. And on the last one, I remember when he went back up, I woke up because they say when you go in dreams, when you're going up, that means you're elevating. But like he ran back down, and he wasn't tired, but I could sense that he was getting stronger because I looked. And I said, damn, the dude getting stronger. So when the last time he went up, or that energy went up, it went to I went to another dream or something. I went into another dimension, and I think I woke up a few minutes later. I think in my mind, my own mind, within that dream state, I was trying to figure out what all that was about before I got out of bed. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's when I was putting this together. I was looking at that. I was like, is it possible? Because that's all white right there with the cross and everything. Fire, air, water, earth. Anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with ancestors and symbols that some people may not really pay attention to, like to talk about. Yeah, we, being the ancients, we have a way of looking at all aspects of nature, regardless of what we're going through. We're gonna always, nature has a funny way of correcting itself and putting things back in its proper place. So whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? It was just a dream. Right? All right, but so hopefully tonight, I know a little bit all over the place, but in essence, got melanin, you know what I'm saying? You got melanin, you got it. You doing your damn thing. That is the Baphomet. Melanin is the Baphomet. There's no other way that I could define it. I know I didn't really break down it in the way that I formatted it. I have a lot of information on this thing. It'll be in my book. You know what I'm saying? The book is called Fitting Into Those Genes, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But one of these days it'll be out there. Fitting Into Those Genes is already copyrighted. Don't try to take my title. But yeah, it's talk about genes, genetics, not necessarily a pair of pants, but it'll be fun, you know, fitting into those jeans. And again, you know, you don't want to go all over the place too much. Try to keep it simple so the understanding to be readily available from the verbal point of view as well as the visual. So I throw these visuals in there so we can get a grander look at who we are from that perspective as well. From the visualizations, you know, I try not to have my beautiful face on there too long. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? What's your name? Mr. Ed. Let me stop. Yeah. All right, we're gonna shoot up out of here. Shoot them out. Shoot them out. Shoot them in. Shoot them down. Remember, God is a frequency. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. That exists within you. So tune in. Don't tap out. You know what I'm saying? Tune in. Don't tap out to your frequency. Listen to the God within. You know, it ain't nothing to do it. You know what I'm saying? Get away from those fear elements. A lot of bull is being portrayed to us by way of media and all these things to keep us in that fear state of mind. Remember, these things is rituals. We got this fire ritual coming up, Beltane, and through that 13-day process, a few blood rituals every year. And I was gonna do a YouTube live a couple weeks ago, and I was gonna mention that. Like, yeah, just wait. It's gonna be some rituals taking place in a couple of days because this is the time of the year. But you know, I had some other things that came up, and I couldn't sit down and put that information in the air like to talk about in that manner. But give thanks for what it is today. Have fun. Like I said, we're gonna shoot up out of here, burn out, leave you with a couple of tracks. One of my favorites right here is the Nagas, Dr. Aline representing on here, the brother Haru on here, as well as myself, Elohi, and a couple other tracks. But I see you on the flip. Alright. Peace, prosperity, protection, good health. Alright. Love you.
Nagas. Yeah. Step into place in my b-boy stance, weapons advanced, your 18 don't stand a chance. Nick Cage with the face off, his monuments erased out. Air race clouds, 5 elements produce sound. We're circled around in a cipher, no lighter. Raising suns higher, phoenix fire, passing in transition. The Nagas here to pay a visit. Unblinded justice spirit, ain't no riddle. Play fiddle, I'm sitting in the middle of the kennel eating vittles. Quite simple, quick 7 dimples in your temple. Slow your tempo, ready stance kimpo. Energy transference, mental slurs into prolific abstract words. Futures known, past remembered. presence forgotten, sipping bubbles, far-sighted, humble, uncover the devil
The son of a star, a gift from the gods who go flying through the sky with golden wings, submerged into the light, knighted by the golden king with the scepter of justice. Melody cultivated cheese, so we are Ethereans, rapidly becoming one with the righteous sun. Solar, souls arrive, magnificent glow with unconditional love, scattered rays for days from the heavens above. Soul below, the soul is trapped in the lowest depths of hell, incarnated into 76 trillion cells. To break free, we must be defined masculine and feminine properties combined.
The devil is author confusion, 183,000 divisions in religions, denominations, sects, cults, schisms, and isms. Yo, isn't it written in your Bible that Jesus spoke in parables? The scriptures and gospels aren't just historical. Many passages weren't even meant to be taken as literal. Most of it is allegorical based on esoteric principles. Baptist versus Methodist, Pentecost holiness versus Jehovah's Witness, Mormons versus Seventh-day Adventists, skeptics, atheists, and agnostics, or divine conquer tactics of the reptilians, or for immature aliens. So beware the draconian Satanists. They aim to imprison all true beings through ignorance, or be questioning the Leviathan. Battle mind control, subliminal suggestions, and brainwashing out the nation, using religion, politics, and education, economics, health, and labor, yo, entertainment and war, yo, sex and law, yo, in the chessboard game called life, we're all been pawns. Puppets on strings controlled by the mind spawns, but you can't run with the devil and walk with God.
You can't run with the devil and walk with God. You can't run with the devil and walk with God. You can't run with the devil and walk with God. And walk with God. You can't run with the devil and walk with God. You can't run with the devil and walk with God. You can't run with the devil and walk with God.
Yeah, ATD, above the dome, trap for freedom, family, tradition, heritage, the missing links, spiritual miracles, the awakenings, the walking sphinx, it's time to eat, food for thought, the Meta-Maji-Shen. From the biblical literature, sitting at the doctor's bank, focus, having rituals, come the lights off, it can get real quick. The middle hot nigga, I'm in search for a fix, walking backwards, looking forward, patiently waiting, don't need no recovery, true schools like peace lines, painted to cool. Interdimensional triple bite, fuel for the journey. Sunlight of fuel for the journey. Colored in the book of law, no need for attorney. I turn the page, build the script like the doctor coming out the cage. I'm the lion, big brain, sticks and stones, no pain. A worker's only worth the game. Tempting to keep my inner sane with lifestyle changes. High there, mountain plains, seven thoughts, no thoughts, who's to blame? It ain't the same, they take your name, I build the sun. It ain't no fun, if the homie can't have none. I leave you run like saying lightning. It seems frightening, excited, I go with streaming lightning. I'm the nigga loading at night. Locate the unknown, where your thoughts get so low. The permanency of non-movement. ATV, above the dome. Trap freedom. Black gold messages. Mad science on the track. I had to. A little retro. I had to. A little retro. Some Meta-Maji-Shen, expect nothing. You know, when highs turn to lows, and lows turn to highs. Black water, black ash on the skin, giving black. Yeah, giving black. A little migration, minus the stagnation, elevation. The power of the melanation, eliminating imposters, block the radar, talk the stars, cosmic dust, smooth rust from eroding cars. I'm Logan, sitting in Logan's at the dojo with Shogun, Logan bars and hookahs. Some claim the baller or the shooter, top shotter, name caller. I'm the bell ringer, missing Dale singer, street saved by the hell bringer. A loose pin in my head, cause my dread to fall out. No fear of rules and regulations, laws that have flaws and claws to crawl out. The beast of the belly, flaming heat, torture streets got me reaching for the Cali. About to go all out. My highs turn to lows. My lows turn to highs. My lows.
Our planet is the fourth in distance from the star you call Sirius, some 8.7 light years from Earth. This is the first time we have left our system, and you, the first intelligent life we've encountered. We're pleased to meet you.
I stand 10 feet tall on the 9-step pyramid in Tolo, Mexico. Call me Custocodo, the high priest magician, holding up commission system, raising 3 sons with 12 planets orbiting a serene existence. Dimension shifting, I pose, prompted to the 12th density, the old soul, third eye open, receive the truth, divine light, conducting doing F sharp. Solar energy engulfs the king's gallery. 2 halves stay whole, you're breaking the mold to the pattern of your reality. In the meditative state, the true self is revealed. The hidden power to heal the mind, body, and spirit. There's nothing to fear. Essential levels are near. Ancient ancestors' channels stay clear. Living in harmony with all cycles of evolution. Unifying as one, that's the solution. We're building a life force energy, so we meditate. We gotta meditate. Eat the right foods, conserve, don't waste. Meditate, you know we meditate. Moderate physical and mental activities, meditate, you gotta meditate. Living in harmony with all cycles of evolution, meditate. Yeah, we meditate.
Meditate, open your third eye, open your chakras, G-O-D is I, magnetic propulsion, carbon in my skin, stuck in the matrix, think breathing oxygen, 3D downgrade, so I had to elevate, had to get my mind right, spirit keep my body straight, hologram world, got to put together pieces, we all, holy Bible sticking with Jesus, in the West they pray, in the East we meditate, the United States all doped up, while everybody else is straight, so I had to obtain life force energy, cosmic energy, everything is energy, crop circles, come from meditation, got me walk the world while locked up through the meditation, from here whenever, breathe in your nose, exhale out your mouth and stay on your toes, meditate.
We're building a life force energy, so we meditate, we gotta meditate. Eat the right foods, conserve, don't waste, meditate, you know we meditate. Moderate physical and mental activities, meditate, you gotta meditate. Living in harmony with all cycles of evolution, meditate, yeah we meditate. We're building a life force energy, so we meditate. We gotta meditate. Eat the right foods, conserve, don't waste. Meditate, you know we meditate. Moderate physical and mental activities. Meditate, you gotta meditate. Living in harmony with all cycles of evolution. Meditate, yeah, we meditate.
I lost you, baby. I lost you, baby. I lost you, baby. I lost you, baby.